Have you ever watched a country lawyer outsmart million-dollar attorneys? I'll never forget the case my brother took on against one of the biggest banks in the country. He wasn't a big-shot attorney. He was just a small-town lawyer who spent most of his time drafting wills and handling local disputes. But when an elderly woman and her son came to him for help, he found himself in a fight that would change his entire career. The woman was in her late 70s and slowly fading from Alzheimer's. She had been wealthy once with plenty and savings to live comfortably. But financial advisors at her bank had drained her accounts, moving money into their own pockets. She didn't even realize what had happened until her power got shut off for unpaid bills. To make things worse, the bank froze what was left of her accounts under the excuse of fraud prevention, leaving her unable to even pay a lawyer to represent her. By the time my brother was called, every large firm in town had already turned her away or failed to get anywhere. Most attorneys wouldn't even bother. The bank's legal team made thousands of dollars an hour, and thanks to the arbitration clause buried in the fine print of her contracts. Lawsuits weren't supposed to be possible. Without a lawsuit, there was no discovery. No chance to see the bank's records and no way to prove what had really happened. For the woman, it seemed hopeless. But my brother couldn't let it go. Her son wanted justice, and my brother was determined to get it. He combed through every scrap of paperwork night after night. That's when he found the detail that cracked the case. The bank hadn't kept an original copy of her contract, only altered duplicates. A few words were different. Page numbers didn't line up, and no one who signed the documents was available to testify under oath. It was a technicality, but a powerful one. Without the original, the arbitration clause couldn't be enforced. Suddenly, the bank was vulnerable. When the judge threw out arbitration and forced discovery, it sent shock waves through the legal community. The bank tried to stall, but eventually they had to turn over documents. On the Friday before the Monday hearing, they dumped more than 200 boxes of paperwork on my brother, hoping to bury him. He locked himself in a hotel room that weekend and spent 72 hours tearing through every page. In one box, he struck gold. An email chain between a bank vice president and their chief attorney showed just how arrogant they had been. They wrote that there would never be discovery, so there was no need to destroy evidence of their misconduct. They mocked the old woman, calling her lawyer nothing more than a country attorney who would quit once he stopped getting paid. They even joked that she might die before she ever saw a dime returned. They couldn't have been more wrong. My brother brought that email into court first thing Monday morning. The bank's legal team took one look, called for a recess, and came back with a settlement offer. But it didn't stop there. In another part of the case, he won a $13 million judgment for his client. One of the advisors ended up serving time in federal prison for fraud and tax evasion. He lost his homes, his license, and his reputation. His wife divorced him, and every scrap of luxury he had stolen was stripped away. The elderly woman sadly passed away before the case ended, but her son received part of the settlement, and the rest went into a charitable trust that now funds scholarships and community programs. My brother was chosen as the trustee, so he gets to see the good that money brings after years of fighting for it. The irony is that the banker who masterminded the theft had stolen the money not just to live rich, but to make himself look like a philanthropist. He donated huge sums to charities, hoping to be invited to galas and receive awards. He craved prestige. Now he's disgraced, broke, and forgotten. While my brother, the small-town lawyer he underestimated, is the one attending galas and receiving recognition for real philanthropy. It took him more than 7 years of sleepless nights and endless work, sometimes for almost no pay, but he proved something bigger than a single victory. He showed that arrogance and greed can be toppled by persistence and integrity, even when the odds seem impossible. And in the end, the little old lady who was robbed of everything had her legacy restored, while the men who tried to exploit her lost everything they thought they